Halvil to Westfaded here, and welcome to another edition of the Weekly Rant. Today I'm joined by Baseballlover and TheChudude. How are you guys doing?
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, this week's episode of the Weekly Rant will be focused around the Tour de France, which is coming up within the next 6 days, I think. No, 7 days? No, it's 6 days because it starts on Saturday next week. So we'll be talking about that, and this video will probably be like an hour long, so go get your popcorn, go get something to drink, because it's going to be one hell of an episode. But first of all, when you talk Tour de France, you talk the yellow jersey. TheChudude, who do you think is going to be the main contenders for the yellow jersey this year?
Well, obviously, we know that Chris Froome, reigning champion, defending champion, he's going to be riding there with he's probably in his best form. And we see Alberto Contador is coming into the Tour this year with some very good form, much better than last year. And I think he's going to be a real threat to win the yellow jersey. And then we got some outsiders who we probably don't know much about. Verdi, I don't know how his form is. Someone like a Nibali, Talansky, Jurgen van den Broek, even Rodriguez, but we don't know much about Rodriguez as well. But this is going to be a hell of a tour. Battle for the Yellow is going to be the key, and the fireworks have already gone off in Criterium, and very excited for the big race of the tour, I think. Yeah.
Speaking of Contador, he just lost his lieutenant. He lost Roman Kreuziger because of some issues back in 2011, which was now reopened like yesterday, and he was now suspended from the Tour de France and all other cycling activities. How much of an impact do you think this will have on Contador's chances of winning this jersey, Baseballlover?
I think it's going to be huge because Kreuziger was his best domestique, and you have to understand also, with Micah replacing him, all of his domestiques now have the Giro in their legs. Roach, Rogers, Micah, they all have the Giro in their legs. Kreuziger was not only, in my opinion, better than them in climbing, but also was on good preparation and hadn't raced a Grand Tour yet. These guys are going to be tired. I expect them to fade, and I expect him to have to do it alone now. And going into it, it looked like he had the stronger team. This changes everything. As a young guy, Micah is going to be pretty useless because he has a Giro in his legs. He is tired. He wasn't prepared for this at all. He didn't try to build form. He didn't try to recover in time. And now you're forcing another GT on a 24-year-old's legs. And I think that could really hurt him. And he was really not happy about it. He posted on Twitter. You could see like he was not happy. He thought that they weren't concerned about his health at all because this could really stunt his growth. And now you have a guy like him. You have Rogers. You have Roach. These guys have ridden a Grand Tour this year. They are not going to be able to fight a SkyTrain full of fresh guys.
But
Yeah.
still, like Saxo Bank's team might be tired, but when I look in the paper, the Saxo Bank team is still stronger than the Sky team. Like Sky, I think they intentionally only brought mediocre guys so Froome wouldn't be challenged by anyone. Like they left out Wiggins. What do you think of this decision, TheChudude? They left out Wiggins to keep a mediocre team.
Obviously, I think I've already stated that Wiggins is probably the person I think they're missing right now to really make this team probably like 100% the best potential team they could be right now. Speaking of that, I still think Sky is probably a better team than Tinkoff. Just because of Kreuziger. I mean, he's such a big deal to him. I had him in my top 5 this year. That's how good I rated him. I really think Kreuziger is the real deal. This guy, we're forgetting what this guy did last year at the Tour. He was riding for Contador and really pacing him up 1-1-2.
He finished 5th.
Some people say Kreuziger was stronger than Contador last year, which I probably believe as well. And Kreuziger, I mean, we've seen it. I mean, I've been suspicious on his results in the past as well. And when he won, was it the big classic Amstel? Was it Amstel?
Amstel.
Yeah, he won that last year. I know some people, there was whispers coming out that they were saying like not normal, and he's probably had some past bad records as well. And it doesn't surprise me he got caught. But this is going to be huge in terms of Contador. I had Contador actually winning this tour because
this changes everything.
Yeah, like last night when I heard that, I'm like, I don't know if Contador can win this tour now. Like,
But
if
how
he's
does it change
isolated,
everything? I don't see it. Cause
if he's isolated like that
Because
with no teammates, it's going to be really difficult.
in my opinion, look at Team Sky. They got Port, Nieve, Lopez Kuryanka. They can all climb. Port is right up there with Kreuziger. Then you have Nieve, who is right
He's
up there
strong.
with
He's
He won a
strong.
Roach.
stage. He won a
You
stage from
have
Dauphiné.
Kirienka, who's right up there with Rogers. And they may not be as good, but they don't have a GT in their legs. You can't even count Micah because he's so young. You don't do two GTs in a row when you're that young. It's just not going to work out. And I mean, they cut Wiggins because the explanation was pretty good that they gave. If you have two guys fighting for the lead, you ruin everything. If you have one guy that's not as good as Wiggins, but he's a dedicated domestique for Froome, that does help you. And you have a guy like Danny Pate who's going to tear up the race and win it anyway. So, in my opinion, Sky have the better team.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I also want to say that I think right now Contador, he's probably best health right now is probably going to be Mick Rogers. I mean, that guy hasn't really done any races early on this year, and he's probably going to be the so-called the freshest out of them. I mean, expect Contador to have his teammates around him probably early on, first 15, 14 stages maybe, and when that third week, it's going to really hurt a lot of the teammates because we've seen this in the past every single year when guys do the Giro and then the Tour. It just doesn't end
Yeah.
well. And the Giro was so tough this year as well.
True.
And I mean, I think everyone knows what Sky's going to do. They're just going to be pacing like that. Even Contador knows that. I think they've developed a master plan to beat Froome this year. And I don't know, with Kreuziger going out, this could really
This ruins
change
all
some of their
of it.
plans. Yeah.
But before you mentioned Nibali and Valverde as outsiders, where do you see them finishing in this year's Tour de France baseball over?
Nibali, he just won the Italian champs, so maybe he's on better form than we thought. But he also looked very, very bad at Dauphiné, in my opinion. Like, very, very bad. And I don't know. I can see him, if he gets his form on track, easily finishing third. I can also see him not getting his form on track and finishing sixth, seventh, that kind of range.
What about Valverde? Because Valverde he just basically gave the Spanish national championship to Ian Izaguirre, but he looked strong as well. So
I don't know.
Route du Sud, he also looked pretty damn strong.
Route du Sud, he was strong, but the competition was very, very low because most people went to Dauphiné or Swiss, and I'm not very confident about him. He's not looked bad, but he lost Route du Sud to Nicolas Roche, who's raced the Grand Tour. And I feel like he's not where he should be right now. Like, he's up there, and this is his last chance, so he better get on track. I'd see him anywhere from the 3 to 5 range. I don't see him slipping below that, but I feel like he could definitely end up like 5th.
Okay. TheChudude, if you would have to place Jurgen van der Broek, Andrew Talansky, TJ van Garderen, and Rui Costa in top 10, where would you place them? Because these 4 guys are probably the favorites to getting a top 10, but not top 3 finish. Where would you place them in which order?
I mean, it all really depends on. I still think it depends on how the likes of Nibali and Valverde race, because they can easily drop out and do nothing. But I don't know. I really think one of them, you could see easily one of them get the top 3, and I don't know, one of them could bomb out. I can easily see someone like a Rui Costa bomb out, but I really think Van der Broek's going to be good this year if he doesn't crash.
He's going to get 4th. We already know this. It's like, it's tied to him. And it fits perfectly for the contenders this year. So he's getting 4th. Like, not even a discussion.
Someone like Talansky, I don't know. He's shown he could ride comfortably, but, you know, there's still a question mark over him. But I think ultimately it's going to come down to who's going to be better in the mountains, and that's going to really solve who's really up there. That's where most of the bread and butter is going to be made at this year's tour. I mean, there is a time trial, but it's at the very end. It's really who's going to have the freshest legs by then. But yeah, also speaking about Nibali, I'm really interested. I reckon he can really perform, even though he hasn't done that well. I mean, he's seasoned. He's shown he's won the Giro, he's won the Vuelta. A lot of people forget about that, and he knows what his body can do. This year his whole objective was the Tour. I can't see him just doing nothing because
That's true.
he's a great rider. And if his main objective is a tour and he does nothing, I don't see that happening. Same thing with Valverde. I mean, the guy's old. He knows how his body can react, and maybe doing the Dauphiné and not doing the Dauphiné or the
Dauphiné.
Swiss.
Dauphiné, that's what I heard as well. The Dauphiné.
Yeah, even though if he didn't do that, I still think he knows what his body can do, obviously, and it's probably not too bad as we might think. I think.
Well, you said before that the bread and butter was going to be on the mountain stages. Well, stage 5 is the Ypres stage. It's the cobblestone stage. Which one of the GC contenders are bringing the best cobblestone team? Like, who do you think is going to make a move on these cobblestones, if any are going to make a move, TheChudude?
Well, the teams we know as we speak right now, we don't have the final team, so obviously we can't really say that much. But I don't know. From what I think it's going to be a very, very interesting stage. It's going to be very tense in the peloton. A lot of the guys want to be sitting at the front, and if everyone wants to sit at the front, crashes generally do happen, and it's going to be very tense. I don't see anyone making moves though. That's the thing. Everyone's going to be so scared and everything, and they don't want to crash. It's all about staying, not losing time that day. That I don't think anyone will, or any of the big GC riders will make a big time gain. But we will see stage hunters, obviously like Sagan, maybe a Cancellara. Those guys, obviously, those guys are going to make moves. So that's
One
why I
of the
think
GC
of that
contenders that we
stage.
haven't mentioned, Mikhail Kwiatkowski, who's not really on form currently, but they're really bringing the A team for this 5th stage. And if Kwiatkowski somehow finds his form, do you think he can win the stage and maybe go on to wear the yellow jersey for like 2 weeks, baseball over?
No,
Why not?
because Kwiatkowski has looked absolutely horrible, absolutely atrocious. In the champs today, he worked, but for goal loss, yes, but he was like 5 minutes behind in the end. Like, it's not like he's racing for a competitive country here. He shouldn't be that far behind, and this is like a week before the tour. Something's wrong with him right now. Ever since the Spring Classics ended, he has not looked right. And also, you have to, even though Kwiatkowski is good on cobbles, he's not great. And I think it's kind of overrated, the difference that the cobblestone stage can make, because people are saying, I think that there will be guys that are going for the stage win there, but you have to know that in terms of GC, whether how strong your team is or not, it all comes down to whether or not your GC contender can actually follow that team. And for a team like Quick-Step, they have tons of cobbles guys, but if Kwiatkowski can't follow them on the cobbles, then that's completely useless.
True. Well, if you guys would have to make a top 3, like I want to hear your top 3. Let's do a little prediction. So far, we've been pretty crap at it from the classic season and the Giro d'Italia season. I mean, we haven't been really good at being spot on. It's also been a quite surprising season so far. But TheChudude, what's your top 3 for the yellow jersey at the tour?
Well, I can tell you now, I had Contador 1, Froome 2, Nibali 3 before Kreuziger was injured. But I really think Kreuziger is going to, without Kreuziger, I think Froome's just got Contador. It's going to be so close. I think Contador is just going to lose those little helpers that day he needs them, and I think he's going to lose a bit of time, and it's going to be close, I think. But I probably see Froome winning it just because Contador doesn't have that, that best guy to help him who's going to stay with him during the very tough stages. So yeah.
So what do you think, Baseball Lover? What's your top 3 for the tour?
I'm going to agree with his top 2 and say that Froome wins it because his team is just too good, and against a Contador team without Kreuziger, I think that he has a major advantage. And then
Go.
what? And then second, Contador, obviously. There's no way that he's getting less than second with the form he's been on this whole year. And third, like I said before, it's really a wild card. It's really who shows up. Based on what we've seen so far, I feel confident saying Talansky, even though that's a biased pick. I feel confident saying that he could get third. It's possible. But like I said, it's like the Giro minor placings where anything could happen. And you see guys like Valverde, guys like Nibali. It all depends on what form they're on. And it really does kind of help everything that Vandenbroek is in fourth, because then you have to know that one of those guys then isn't making the top 5. Talansky, Valverde, and Nibali. And I feel like people are saying on daily and stuff like, oh, Talansky's never proven himself in a GC to get a podium, but it's like, well, Lance Armstrong hadn't proved he could win the Tour de France until he won the Tour. Like,
Sure.
you can't prove something until it actually happens. At one point, Contador hadn't podiumed in a GT either, and you think, well, he was a young guy then, and so at some point you have to make the breakthrough. At some point you have to, and Talansky's been on a steady incline all the time. He won Dauphiné, and you saw he wasn't even leader in the Tour for the first 2 weeks last year. He came on great in the third week. He's very good with his recovery. He got 10th. He was, what was it, 7th in the Vuelta 2012 or something?
Probably.
I think he was.
Him.
And he's really come big time, and I feel like this is the breakthrough. I feel like he's going to be able to at least get, well, obviously I think he's getting a top 10. That's not a question. Top 8 for sure as well. And if everything goes right, if he doesn't crack, if he didn't peak too early, which, like I said, he's great with his recovery, so even if he did, I think he could hold it. But I don't think he did peak too early. And I think he could get third.
Okay. If I had to say my top 3, of course Chris Froome is going to win it, because that time trial will always be his fail-safe. I see Chris Froome taking a minute on that final time trial, so just because of that one time trial, he's going to win it. Second place, I'm gonna say Valverde.
You know who's good at time trialing?
Probably Talansky.
Probably better than a lot of GT contenders. That's right, Talansky.
I think the Talansky fanboy moment is over. But second place, I actually want to say Alejandro Valverde. I just think that from what I saw last year, Valverde is really, really strong. He knows his way around the Tour de France, and Contador is just known to mess up. Like, he's either gonna get caught for doping, which is most likely now that Kreuzberg got caught, or he's just gonna boink at some point.
Yeah,
Contador
we saw him
always
on Mont too.
disappoint. Yeah.
If he tries to follow something that he can't, which he will, because he's that kind of rider, he's never going to pace himself.
Mm-hmm.
He will try to follow anything. And we saw him last year on Mont Ventoux where he just was like, I'm right there with Froome, and then he didn't. And then he boinked and lost a couple of minutes.
So that's my reasoning. And because of that, Contador, I know it's the unholy fourth place that Van den Broek is going to get, but I say first place Chris Froome, second place Valverde, third place Nibali, fourth place Contador, fifth place Van den Broek. That is just a ballsy prediction.
No, that's not possible.
Why is that not possible? Because Van den Broek has to get that fourth place?
Because Van den Broek has to get fourth.
Well, that's probably not going to happen.
It's an even year. It has to happen.
Probably. What do you think about that prediction, Studio? Do you think, how likely is it that Contador does not get top 3?
I don't know. I've been talking Contador up so much. I mean, he if you saw him at the Dauphiné, he rode pretty much to for Froome. He's been analysing this year all around Froome. I think he's been building the year around Froome. Even we're going to look in this episode. We're going to talk about Oliver Tinkov as well, and he's been talking all about Froome, how to beat Team Sky. They've been planning for it, and I just think it's going to be really close. And Contador, we saw him matching Froome at the Dauphiné easily. He at that first climbing stage, Contador was right there, and I think that's going to show. It's going to be really close to the Tour. Mm-hmm. I don't see him dropping out. I think he's going to be. I mean, he knows what to do. He's going to be good. I think in that last week this year. I think instead of like last year. Oh,
I think that was enough. That was probably enough to talk about the yellow jersey. It is the most controversial point about the entire Tour de France. That's the jersey you come to win for. You don't come to win the mountains jersey, the young jersey. Might be another jersey you come to win, and that is the sprinters jersey. Baseball lover, who is your main favorite for the sprinters jersey and why?
Sagan is going to win it because he's able to get points where other people are not able to get points, and purely because of that, he will win it. But you saw Kittel today. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do much. Is it a real pulled hammy? Is he going to not be able to do well at the Tour? Is he going to be able to make the Tour? I think so.
Definitely.
Right?
He's going no matter what. I think he's going to go, give it a shot,
he's definitely
and then stop if he can't do it. It might not even have been a pulled hammy. He might as well just have said, I don't really want to ride for this jersey, and just stop. You never know. You never know with these guys.
True.
Who do you think is Sagan's biggest competitor for this jersey?
I had it as Kittel. I don't know what he's going to be like.
Kittel can't make it over speed bumps, but on pan flat stages, he'll take a bunch of points.
I mean, I think the wider the sprinters are out there. I mean, if there's a lot of competitive sprints, it's going to work in Sagan's favor because there won't be that one guy just taking it all on at those flat stages, which I think Kittel could do if he's 100%. I mean, I don't know about the injury you guys are talking about. I saw it. It looked like a bit of cramp. I mean, I didn't see too much into it, like some of you guys may have, but I still think Kittel is going to be there, right there. He could be really contending for the green jersey. I really think that I said it in the past, if he wins all those sprint stages, which he can easily do, I think it's going to be tough for Sagan. It's going to make it a lot difficult for Sagan. He's going to have to work for it. So,
True.
I mean, Sagan is the favorite, but I think a lot of people are giving him so much credit that, I mean,
That's
that
true.
no one can
He's
compete with him.
he's getting kind of overrated here, and if that continues, then
Well,
bad
I
things
honestly
could
don't
happen.
see
for
anyone
him.
taking it, but that is Peter Sagan. Peter Sagan does not win the green jersey on flat stages. He does win it in the mountains. But who do you guys think is going to be the dominant sprinter this year? Like, you always have, like, in 2011 and 2012, it was Cavendish winning 5 and 6 stages. But then Kittel came around last year and took, like, 3 stages, I think it was. And Cavendish and Greipel took 1 and 2, I think. And Sagan took 1. Who do you guys think is going to be the most dominant flat sprinter that you can kind of rule out Sagan unless you count him as a flat sprinter? Who do you think, TheChudude?
I think it's going to be Kittel. If he's anything close to what he's been, obviously at the Giro, no one's going to beat him. Like, from some of the stuff he's doing at Giro, like, even though there wasn't the best guys there, I still think he's going to be so much quicker than a lot of the guys at the Tour. Even with a Cavendish, even with a greipel, it's going to be very hard for anyone to stop him. If I can see him having a bad day where the trains don't work out or something, and a couple of riders here and there get a stage on him, but overall, I think he's going to be too tough to beat. I mean, we saw him get badly positioned at the Giro and still win. If he gets badly positioned this time, he's not going to win it. But it's anywhere where it's close to a fair sprint, he's going to take it, I see.
You also know that he's got Degenkolb here as a lead out. I mean, that helps him because the other teams no longer have those lead outs. You see guys like Gregory Henderson leading out Greipel. Guys like, well, even Renshaw now is not. He's not as good as he was for Cavendish. So you see, he has that perfect lead out advantage. Now, Giants say that they might want to have Tom Wheeler's lead out Kittel instead. Now that is stupid. Don't do that. That's stupid.
Yeah, they were talking
Well,
about...
they've done that in the past. Yeah.
But they've had actually court lead out Kittel in the past, and that has been with great success. If you rewatched last year's Champs-Élysées stage, you would see that Court made a perfect lead out train for Muscle Kittel to beat both Cavendish and Greipel. So, Mike, I know that Degenkolb has asked to be moved up in the sprint train. Degenkolb wants to be that 3rd or 4th guy who does the pacing on a flat road, but not the sprinting. What do you think about this, too?
I can see a lot of people saying, "Oh yeah, Degenkolb's going to be the best lead out ever," but it's not necessarily the case. Like, a lot of people think your lead out guy is going to be your second quickest guy, and it's not always the case. Sometimes it's the more smarter rider as well, and a lot of dynamics go into it. Obviously, Renshaw is probably not, if you look at the overall roster of Omega, he's probably not the second fastest sprinter. I'm sure you can find a faster sprinter Omega as well. He's shown that he's smart. He knows when to lead out. He and Cavendish work so well together. I mean, we saw last year at the Tour, obviously, Degenkolb not leading out, and Kittel still had so much great success. And
True.
I don't doubt he's going to do anything different this year. Yeah.
True.
Yeah, he's too quick. I think as well. He's going to dominate the flat sprints.
Well, yeah. I think that Greipel is going to have a really tough time this year. I said this, I'm going to say this in the video that's coming up pretty soon. I don't think Greipel has a chance of winning a single stage, honestly.
I agree, because it's not. You have to think. Even if Greipel is the 3rd best sprinter there, that doesn't mean he's going to be 3rd most in the amount of stages he wins. That just means he's going to be 3rd every stage. So I think everything would have to go right, and everything would have to go wrong for the others for him to take it. He just doesn't have that. He's a great sprinter still. He's definitely 3rd best in the world, but he's just not quite there as far as Kittel can just pounce on it.
I totally agree with that. Because if you saw today's road race in today's national championship, the German national championship, you saw that Degenkolb almost outsprinted Greipel, and when Kittel's lieutenant can almost outsprint Greipel, that is when I think there's trouble. I know he didn't have the optimal leader train, but still.
I
I
can
agree.
also tell you that Degenkolb was an inch from being Cavendish as well. If you think about it, I don't think Degenkolb is that bad as everyone says he is. I really rate him as good as those big three. Really, he's pretty quick. Like if you saw at one of the American races, how
California.
close was he to beating? Yeah. How close was he to being Cavendish with all those little inches
Yeah.
that people were saying
I
on
mean-
the bikes?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like when at those American races when Sagan was in it and Farah beat him twice.
Sure.
Sagan's not
So,
good.
but if you had to rate like top 5 sprinters in the world, well, how would you rate them, TheChudude? Top 5 sprinters, who would that be?
Kittel, probably, in my opinion, I'd say Greipel's the second quickest right now. I can't really see him losing to Cavendish the way Cavendish is going. People overrate him because of his name, but I'd say Cavendish is third, Degenkolb fourth, and probably a Buhani fifth.
Even though
maybe a
Demar beat him
Christoph.
today?
Yeah. I saw-
Okay. I'd say first, Kittel. Second, Cav. Third, Greipel. I think that's just the way it is. And fourth, Damar. And fifth, Degenkolb.
Okay.
Damar's better than Buhani. We saw that today.
See, I would put Sagan. I agree with your top 3. I agree with Kittel, Cavendish, Greipel. That's just how it is. Then I put Sagan 4th place, and I put Degenkolb 5th.
I don't even see Sagan as a sprinter.
I don't see
anymore,
Sagan
to
as
be honest.
that good anymore. Like, he has not shown that top speed in a flat sprint since
But he has
Well,
the
since
nose for it, though.
2 years ago.
Like, he has to know. He knows where to be to avoid crashes. He knows where to be in the sprints. He knows which wheel to be on. He can easily get a 2nd or 3rd place. You don't need to win a stage.
He doesn't win anything like in a flat sprint. He just plays it smart, gets consistent top placings, and that's how he wins the green
That's
jersey.
why I rate him so high, because a guy like Buhani either wins or he loses. He's like, he either gets 1st place or he gets 6th or 7th.
Or he loses to Tyler Farah in the last stage of the
But
Giro.
that never happens. I mean, you don't like, you either get
It
first. Yeah, okay, but you either get first or you get 8th. And that's just not consistent enough. For me, the best sprinters are the ones getting top 3, top 4, top 5 consistently. I mean, you might not win a stage all the time, but being up there 2nd and 3rd place is better than being 1st and 8th, 1st and 8th. I mean, for me, that's higher value. But I think that we established our main sprinters and who we think are going to do good in the sprints in this year's Tour de France. Time to go to the King of the Mountains. This one is probably the toughest one to predict, and it always is, because it can be anybody. TheChudude, who do you think are the favorites for this King of the Mountain jersey? Do you think it's going to be a breakaway rider, or it's going to be a GC contender who's going to get it?
For my opinion, this year, I just see it being someone someone that we don't expect, someone that's not a GC rider, and I think it's going to go to someone who really wants it, some French guy, or someone just going to be
Always the French guy.
Yeah, very motivated, someone who wants to attack. So it could be someone like a Tommy Vogler when he won it. I can see that happening this year, but I don't. Could really go to someone like a Froome if he dominates that much. But if you're a god and you can pick the King of the Mountains rider, I will
You're a god.
respect you. Yeah, exactly. So there's a couple of guys I had on my list, like someone maybe like Pierre Roland's obviously the favorite. I don't see him really doing it, but I think someone like what's his name? I can't even remember. Roman Bardet,
Oh, yeah?
Reblon, if they go for it.
Even though it's retired.
Who's going for it, really? Even the
I don't
TJ
think
Van
there is
Garderen might
anybody
go
that's
for
like
it.
going for it. Like Bardet, you'd probably go for Young Rider instead.
Exactly. Like last year, Roland stated that he would go for it. Last year, Roland said, I can't ride with the best of the best, I'm going to go for it. And then halfway through the race, he actually realized he would get a solid top 10 finish. And I think this year, Roland will be riding to get it. Well, he might be tired from the Giro, but all depending on how his form is, I think Roland could get a top 10 finish. He could also get the Mountain jersey easily.
Well, it can also go to someone like a GC rider who crashes really early and loses like 10 minutes or something, or misses a crosswind or something like
Yeah.
that, and they just decide to go for it. Like, that could very well happen as well. Yeah.
Or Belkin paces for them. But I agree. There's two different ways. Well, there's three different ways. It could go to, first off, a fighter like Vogler, that kind of a guy. It could go to, number two, a random Frenchie. Think Anthony Charteau, that kind of guy. Or it could go to a minor GC guy. Think Sammy Sanchez back in the day. So there are many places that it could go, and I think that the most with the amount of GC contenders in this tour, I'd probably go with an outside GC guy. Just by picking a stage or two to win and then winning it, he could probably win
TJ?
it that way.
TJ and Reblond, you'd say? Like two biggest favorites? The rematch of US?
TJ and Reblon. I think if Reblon could definitely be that kind of a guy. I mean, maybe a Perot or...
The AG
It's usually French. It's usually French.
Yeah.
How about someone like a Nicolas Ede or someone like one of those
Too
random?
tough for them.
Yeah,
You actually have to follow
they
the
changed
mountains.
it, remember, a couple of years ago to make it like the big mountains score you really, really big, and so I don't think that a guy
Also,
like that
you score
could do
double
it.
points on a mountain finish. So
Yeah.
you really need to win like 2 or 3 stages to get that jersey. That's also why I see people saying Roelan is going to be the favorite, because he did do the Giro d'Italia, so he's really tired. So I doubt he'll ride a good GC, but I think he could go for the mountains jersey. We'll see some aggressive showing from Roelan. I mean, if Arredondo was here, he would be another favorite, but that's just because we know these guys would attack. So this one is basically impossible to guess. One jersey that is pretty easy to guess, though, at least we think so, is the Young Riders classification. Here we gotta say that Romain Bardet is really the big favorite. Why is he this big of a favorite? Like, what about Michael Kwiatkowski? Why is nobody saying he's pretty good anymore, baseball over?
Well, because he's sucked. We've covered this, but also Thibaut Pinot would be, but he can't. There's downhills after mountains, and what else? Who else is eligible still?
Oh, not Talansky.
Like, not Talansky by a freaking month and 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Minutes.
BBR's got this down to science.
I'm so pissed. I am so pissed that that this Young Riders jersey is this way, because they take it from the end of the year. Either take it from the tour or don't make it so that you can be 25 at all, because there are 25-year-olds born in, like, you know, that were born in January of this year. And I doubt that they have lost so much development compared to Talansky's 1 year, 1 month. It's so rigged. Talansky would obviously have it, but there's no one else. So Bardet.
And welcome to the weekly Talansky rant. So, but yeah, Romain Bardet is really the favorite for me, because he is really consistent. We saw it last year that he's really consistent and can win mountain stages. And I think that there's no one else. Like, if Kwiatkowski shows up, yes, Kwiatkowski will most likely take it. But with the form he's been showing, no. And there's really no one else to take that jersey away from Bardet. I literally don't see anyone.
I can see Pinot riding a good tour if he gets his descending right. I mean, Pinot, if he does well in the mountains, he could do it. I can definitely see that happening, I think.
No, he has to go down after.
But he doesn't have a team, though. He does not have a team to help him, because they're all going to be going for Demar.
What happened in the year when he came like top 5 or 6 or whatever he did? 2011, I think it was.
Well, that was 3 years ago when everyone was still doped.
No, I don't think so.
Does that help him? If everyone's doped?
Well, I don't know.
I don't.
It means his performance was better.
Well, last year Pinot abandoned. 2012 he came
Not even sure. Like
10th, and in 2011 he was not anywhere near the top 10.
Well,
so 10th is his highest.
Well, last year I can tell you, I thought Van Garderen had that in the bag, and he just didn't do anything. So unexpected things do happen, guys. So yeah.
True. I just think that, like, Pinot last year, you look at Pinot last year, and you see he abandoned. 2012, he came only 6 minutes behind Van Garderen for the white jersey, but he also won a stage, remember, and he was allowed breaks a lot because he had fallen behind early in the first mountain range. So he gained back a lot of time. I feel like do you remember the stage last year? I don't remember which one it was, but like he went over the mountain with the favorites group, and then they went to a commercial, and when they came back, he was like 2 minutes behind just from being so slow down the mountain.
Sadly, I don't remember.
I remember that.
But
But he hasn't been that bad afterwards. Like, was he at the Welter? Was it the Welter?
He
He didn't
did
do
at
too.
the Vuelta. He performed pretty well last year. I think he was. What was it? Let me check.
But
He was
He,
seventh
I,
GC.
I did see him go down the mountains at the Welter, and it wasn't too bad as everyone expected. I think it's all about confidence for him. So maybe he gets it right, gets his confidence up, and maybe gets going, and that could very well happen. Obviously, he doesn't have a team around him, but he can. He's one of the guys who can probably just solo it and just follow wheels and ride. I mean, it's the young riders. We don't have someone like a Quintana Dishi, so
sadly, no.
he could do it without a team.
But I kind of,
Yeah,
I know
so.
Langborg would be pissed at me if he actually watched these videos, but I kind of compare Pinot to Terame and Gesink. Honestly, he has such great potential.
No, don't speak that way about guessing. He'll develop. Okay, he's an upcoming talent.
But he has such
After-
a high
after
potential,
heart
but he never
surgery.
pulls it off.
He's actually coming back after heart surgery, so he could. He's not done yet. He could
He's still a young rider. I think he's an upcoming talent. He's like 28 or something.
But I really don't feel
Hey.
that. Like,
Hey! Chris Horner won a Grand Tour at 42. Kelderman's what's his name? He's still got years.
Gesink got a bunch.
Cavendish is almost 50
Guessing.
now, and he's still winning sometimes.
But I gotta say, I just don't think Pinot's got what it takes. Like, I mean, he has this great potential. Like, we'll never see, unless he does like a Kelderman. Like, Kelderman has been an upcoming talent for 3 years now, and he finally pulled something off this year in the Giro. And unless Pinot magically finds something like Diego Elisi kind of things.
Oh, he found something.
Yeah, speaking of that,
He found
speaking
something,
of that,
all right.
Diego Elisi, the big fan favorite, or the big fan hero of the Giro d'Italia.
Big fan doped.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Sad news, but he was doped. And
Too good to be true.
we saw the old Chris Froome excuse where he said, but he had asthma and he took he used his inhalator on the stages.
Yeah.
But funny thing is,
Apparently, if he had taken it like 100 times or something, it still wouldn't have reached the amount he had.
it's a funny thing. That's kind of stupid. You see, bad excuses don't only exist in football. You know, like Suarez tripped with an open mouth and hit Chiellini. They also do exist in cycling, where you see Diego Lisi's like, well, I have asthma. I kind of did like inhalate like 2,000 times, 3,000 times in one stage.
One time, I had some asthma, so I just sat down for a good 3 hours and just kept inhaling it over and over.
But he should have asked permission. Another guy who asked for permission was Christopher Froome. TheChudude, I know you did a lot of research on this matter. Could you try and explain the entire
Yep.
Christopher Froome doping?
All right. So Chris at the Tour of Roman this year, he got caught. He used what's called a TUE, a therapeutic use exemption form. He got the approval to use a substance called corticosteroids or glucose corticoids. I can't say that properly, but basically it's a substance. It speeds up all your digestion of fats and carbohydrates, so you can absorb food quicker. And this is generally used for I don't know exactly, but it's generally used for people who, it's like asthma sort of thing as well. It helps with that, but it's basically to digest food quicker. But I don't know. I've read articles on it to see if it was performance enhancing. It's really a grey area. They don't know if it's performance enhancing or not, but it certainly could be. They say.
Well, he obviously intentionally put it in his system, so maybe he thought it was,
yeah,
at least.
and these days, Sky's so advanced in using things, and also it's so easy these days to get a therapeutic use exemption, and like all you need is a doctor to write something up, and their team doctors write anything up like easily. It takes 5 seconds for them to do that. We saw Lance Armstrong.
I need some EPO for my cold, and so can I get a TUE for that?
Sorry, we don't sell that over the counter.
Yeah, and the World Doping Association, or whatever, WADA, are actually apparently really pissed off, and apparently next year they're going to be doing things different. It's going to be a lot more difficult to get a TUE. So I think that a lot of people are going overboard about cyclists using all these weird drugs. But imagine a lot of people like riding, putting their bodies in that much stress. I mean, you're going to need some vitamins here and there, you know.
Yeah. Well, you can take your multivite in the morning, but you can't. You can take your gummy bear vitamin, but you can't inject like 2,000 whatever unit they were using of inhaler specimen into your system.
think about it. If you're riding every day in the cold weather and stuff, it's so easy to get sick and stuff like that.
Put on a freaking
So
jacket. Or they have those.
yeah, but you're putting your body in stress. Yeah, but basically, glucocorticoid is a anti-inflammatory substance. So it's, apparently, Froome had some sort of sickness, maybe.
That sounds tasty.
What?
I really want to. I would really want to get that in my inhaler and inhale it like 3,000
Could you get
times.
this kind of approval for the Tour de France? Let's say Contador comes down with some sort of like beef allergy. Would he be able to get some sort of like approval?
This year, probably yes, because the rules aren't that strict. All he needs is his doctor or whoever to write him up some script and say, we saw Lance Armstrong write a script up saying, "Oh, I got saddle sores and he's using cortisone," and I can see that still happening these days.
Oh God!
It's not that difficult.
That's pretty funny. I think that's pretty funny.
I have this itch under my foot, and it itches. So can I have some clenbuterol?
On that note, guys.
Oh no, I ate a Spanish steak. Sorry.
On that note, guys, I think I have a bunch of tweet of the weeks because I was really busy this week just finding good tweets because there were so many good tweets. Most of them came from the Tinkoff Saxo Bank camp because all I think of is just a man without limits. He does not know when to stop. So on screen right now, you'll just see all the tweets coming out right now. First of all, it's the don't push the riders, and you see a guy who that's probably about a girl who did not push the rider. I think she more grabbed the butt on purpose. I think it was TJ Van Garderen as well. It's kind of funny. Next off, you'll see a Phil Guyman on selfie and bikes. He's like, my selfie only gets so many, but when I put a picture of bikes, it gets so many likes. Or what was it, TheChudude? I don't remember.
Yeah, I'll read it out for you guys. So this is what happened. Philip Guyman earlier posted a picture of all these Savallo bikes. It was a lot of them, and you can see it on the tweet. He says a selfie gets 200 likes, but when I post a Savallo, you jerks are all over it. I see how it is. So, and then a lot of the replies were pretty funny as well because people were having a go at him as well. They say, "Sorry, dude, they're prettier than you," but and all those sort of things. So, I really like that tweet because
I feel very bad for him. Oh, it's so
the
sad.
pictures of all the Savallos, it was like 400 bikes in a small room and all stacked together. Like it was amazing. 400 of the same bike.
That's like heaven if you're a bike thief. Just saying. That happens at the tour. That does happen at
Like
the tour.
Failured.
Hey!
Failured the bike thief.
Okay, alright, let me just explain this. Okay. Probably should not explain this. Okay, next next up, Rafael Mike was pretty unhappy about getting the call up for the tour. You see on screen right now, he says that he just got the call from Bjarne and got the news that he was riding, and he is not happy about this because the team does not care about his health. Next all, you see Oleg Tinkov saying, we will beat, follow this Twitter account to get all the secret tactics on how we'll beat the shit out of Team Sky. Probably don't say that as a team sponsor, but I guess Team Sky would have a pretty good laugh about that.
Who cares? It's Oleg Tinkov.
Next up, it's Oleg Tinkov once again. He's pretty unhappy with the UCI. He's like, you wait 3 years with banning Roman Kreuziger, #mess. You guys are a joke or like corruption or something like that. I don't remember what it says. And then the last one, I actually don't remember what it is to think of replying to Twitter. Can one of you explain what it is?
I can look at it.
Because I don't have it open on my second screen.
Okay, it is. Okay, Team Sky posted the picture of all the guys selected on the Tour de France this year, and that picture had Bradley Wiggins on it. And Tinkoff replied, "Nothing help you, even my Kirienko, a block." Something like that. And then he wrote another tweet, #Wiggo working for us. And so Tinkov's been on the tweetathon
He's
this week.
having a lot of fun. But guys, we wish you, us here from the side of the Weekly Rant, wish you the best of Tour de France. If you're betting, good luck betting. If you're watching it just to watch it, have fun. If you're a newcomer to the sport, make sure to subscribe to the Weekly Rant, which is also this channel, to follow up with all the recent news from the Tour de France. We'll be covering all 3 weeks of the Tour de France. Go to Baseball Lovers channel, go to TheChudude's channel. They both do quality content. They do Pro Cycling Manager, which is the game you saw in the background. And I hope you're familiar with it by now because you're on my channel. So, or you're on SoundCloud. If you're on SoundCloud, go to youtube.com/ProMKia or youtube.com/TheChudude or youtube.com/Baseballlover312. Thank you guys for watching, and do you have anything you want to say before we call it a day?
Enjoy the
Yeah,
tour.
just a couple of things. Tor Hushoft retiring. He hasn't done much the last couple of years. It's been pretty disappointing, but he was pretty legend, and the God of Thunder will be missed in the peloton, as well as Buhani. He could sign a contract with Kofi. Nothing's really official yet, but I think that's a good fit, so we'll see what turns out.
On that note, guys, have a great day.